Welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast from www.englishwithkirsty.com. Here I'll be sharing with you tips, information and other learning resources so that you can improve your business English. Hello and welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast, and today we're talking about improving your English in 2018, and this is part 8. So if you've just started listening to this series and you're interested in the other parts, you can go to englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, and there you will find all of the episodes starting with the newest ones, and so you can go back to the other parts of this series. I started it in January, and I know if you're listening to this at the time that it's coming out, it's April now, and we're still talking about improving your English in 2018 because it's a 10-part series and I'm doing other things in between. But I think it's really important not just to talk about making improvements, making changes at the beginning of the year, because everyone does that in the first week of January. You can't get away from New Year's resolutions and things like that. But language learning is a journey and it's ongoing, and the only way to really make a difference is to keep working at it, keep showing up day after day and improving. And that's what I really wanted to get across with this series, because it's not something that you can just, it's not a quick fix. You have to keep working at your language skills. So we've got this part, and then every other week we do something else, and there's 2 more, and then we're done with this series. But I hope it's helpful to you, because I wanted to look at lots of different aspects of improving your language learning. And today we're talking about listening skills, because I know that for some people it's difficult, and that can be for different reasons. Part of it is people are concerned that they don't know what's being said, that they find listening with no visual clues quite difficult, and then when they have to have a telephone conversation they don't know what to do. So I just wanted to break down some of the problems that people have with listening skills and how they can fix them, because different people have different problems, and that means that there are different solutions as well. So the first thing I want to say is, part of the problem with listening skills is that some people really don't enjoy those activities where you just do listening. Maybe activities that you do on your own, or activities that you can that you think of as being quite passive, but they shouldn't be passive, because if you want to, putting something on the background might be nice. I used to have some radio stations on the background, although I find that quite distracting, so I could only do it for certain tasks. But that's nice, but it's not really working on your listening skills as such, because you're not really focusing on everything that's being said. So listening shouldn't really be just passive if you really want to learn and improve your vocabulary. So the problem here is that some people think that's great, like I do. I like listening to an audiobook. I like listening to podcasts on my own with no interaction with other people. For me, that is fun. For other people, that is horrible, because they want social interaction. And some of these people find listening skills difficult because there isn't any social interaction. There isn't any motivation because they're on their own. And so for those people, I would advise you to read something that it's not on the English with Kirsty site, but it's a guest post that I wrote for another website called Leo Listening, and I'll link it through in the show notes page. This is an article about how conversations can help you with listening skills. So as long as you're not that person who just keeps talking and talking and talking and is only interested in what they have to say, and to be honest, who likes talking to those people anyway? They're really kind of full of themselves and not interested in anyone else. And don't be that person anyway. But if you're genuinely interested in your conversation partner and what they're saying, there's no reason why talking to other people, having a language partner, all those kind of things, working with other learners, there's no reason why these can't also help you with your listening skills if you're listening to them and learning new vocabulary from them. And it doesn't have to be something you do on your own. So that's something to think about. If you really don't like working on your own all the time for language skills, then do listening practice with other people. So that can be in conversation, that can be if you want to go to the cinema maybe together, and then I don't know, have a meal afterwards or go for coffee afterwards and discuss the film. Um, if you feel happier being with someone else, then arrange to do something with other people in English, or find an English speaking meetup group, or I don't know, join an online English speaking book club or something like that, where you have to have input that's audio, not just text. But there are lots of things you can do with other people. It doesn't always have to be on your own. One of the other problems with listening skills is people have become so dependent on visual input like subtitles, and I find it really difficult to be super understanding about this because of my visual impairment. I can't see subtitles, so I've never relied on them, and I've always just had to listen and learn through listening. So I know that that's something people do and that they find helpful, and then they find it difficult to stop doing that. But really, real life doesn't have subtitles. Conversations with people don't have subtitles. So if you really want to be serious about improving your listening skills, then you really do need to do some things that are only listening. Even if that means turning the subtitles off for 10 minutes and then having them on for 10 minutes. If you need to do that at the beginning, then fine. But, at some point you're going to have to make that decision to just listen to things, or to choose things where you can't rely on reading what's being said. For example, podcasts. Listen to podcasts. It doesn't have to be a long one. Sometimes people say, I'm going to improve my listening skills and watch this 2-hour film, which is great if you want to watch a 2-hour film. But if you want to just listen to something, sometimes it's better to choose something shorter, and then you can listen to it again without it taking 2 or 3 hours of your time. The best way to, when I said about speaking, the best way to improve your speaking skills is to speak. The best way to improve your listening skills is to listen to stuff. And if you're not used to only listening to things, it will be hard at the beginning. That's just a thing. That's true because it's something new for you and something you're not used to doing. So start slowly and work up, even if it's just 5 minutes or something, and then you can build up to something more. Another problem people have is that they're listening to the wrong things. So partly the wrong things because they're too difficult. I remember when I first started learning Turkish, I put the news on and I understood about 3 words, and it was really demotivating. So that was the wrong thing for me. I was a beginner and I was expecting to be able to understand things that native speakers listen to. And I do think the news is generally quite a good thing to listen to. Sometimes you can get these, I don't know, news in 3 minutes broadcasts, or short broadcasts for the news. And usually with the news, people speak quite clearly. You don't have a lot of colloquial speech. You don't have a lot of slang. People are speaking the news, so it's generally quite clear, and the sentence is usually quite good. But you need to have the vocabulary in order to be able to do that. So if you're a beginner, then yeah, maybe that isn't the best choice. I certainly find, and one of my students also said, so it isn't just me, that things like documentaries are quite good because people do speak clearly. But it depends why you want to be able to understand things. If you want to understand general conversation and general speech, then the documentaries won't be so good for you because people don't speak like that in real life unless it's a kind of real life documentary. But even then, they're often partially scripted. So think about why you want to improve your listening skills and what it's for. So if you want to be able to understand things like business presentations, then watching other presentations will help you. But if you just want to do something in your free time and understand your friends, then maybe a TV series or something with people speaking more naturally, or listening to the radio. Some radios do call-ins with people just speaking normally, so that can help sometimes. So think about what it is, and also what kind of English, because if you're wanting to improve your British English, then listening to a lot of American English TV maybe won't help. It will help you in terms of vocabulary, but if you want to understand a certain type of English, then try to find resources in that type of English. And the same goes the other way. If you are going to spend some time in the US, then find American English. there aren't that many differences in terms of the language itself. You know, some of the vocabulary is a bit different, but if your problem is understanding certain accents, then find materials in that accent that you understand, and that will be easier for you. Also, find things that you care about. So if you're really wanting to work on your listening skills, it's usually because people find this a bit harder if they really want to focus on that. And so it's not going to be as easy as the task that you enjoy or that you're really good at. That's often the way it is. For me, it was never listening, it was speaking, but the same applies. I had to work harder at the one that I wasn't so good at. So if that's you, then give yourself some motivation by finding something that you enjoy. I remember we had a student when I was learning German at school, and he brought in some music and said, okay, we're not just going to listen to the music. Why don't you see if you can find out what the message is in this song? Because it was like quite a young group. I've never heard of them actually. I've never heard of them since. It was just something he found, and it was, you know, what are these? What is this band trying to communicate with the song? So it wasn't just, oh, we're going to do a listening text and there are these people talking about what they did in a holiday or something that wasn't that interesting. It was a song. It was some young people wanting to convey a message, and I wanted to find out what that was. So it was just a bit different from what we've been doing. Or you could find something. I found some interesting podcasts in the languages that I was learning, and I listened to those because they were about subjects that I was interested in. So it can be anything. It can be YouTube. You know, if you've got a hobby, then see if you can find some people talking about that hobby on YouTube, or on a podcast. It's just something that will make you want to consume the information because you're already interested in it, and that really helps whatever you're doing, whether that's reading or listening. But if you want to work on your listening skills, then do yourself a favor and find something to listen to that you think is interesting, because if you think it's boring, you're really not going to want to do it. And audiobooks as well, they're really good. I've listened to so many audiobooks in German. That's helped me so much. And okay, I do like reading, I do like listening to books, and that helped. But you know, if you're someone who's interested in reading, for example, then see if you can find some of your favorite authors' books in English as an audiobook. And some people like to read along as well, and you can do that. But again, if it's improving your listening skills, then try to do part of it at least without reading along as well, because then you're just really relying on your ears and the information that they're giving you. So, and music as well. I touched on it before, but yeah, if you like music, then try to find some of the style of music that you like in English. Not any old English music. Think about what kind of music you like, and then try to find some of that in English too. And finally, while we were talking about audiobooks, I do have links if you're in Germany or the UK, how you can get a free audiobook from Audible if you haven't been a customer before. This is available in other countries. I only have the affiliate links for Germany and the UK because I only speak German and English, and the countries that were offered to me, they were the only two where I understood the language. So I took those two. If you're in another country, then check out Audible and see whether there is this offer for your country too. But if you are in Germany or the UK and you want to use my affiliate links, you can. I do promote these books because I am an audio subscriber, an Audible subscriber. I do have a book every month. You don't have to do that. Once you sign up, if you don't want to continue with it, you just cancel the subscription before the first month, so you get your first book and don't have to pay for any books. But obviously, if you like the service, then you can keep up with the subscription and you get your book every month, which is then paid for. But the first one is free, so if you're interested in that, you can go over to my show notes page, which is englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 130, and you can find the information there. Also, the English with Kirsty newsletter is coming out this week, so if you want to sign up for that, it contains information partly from the podcast but also from the rest of the site. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up, and you can also do that on the show notes page, which is englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 130. And if you've got any other tips or you want to share what you like to do to improve your listening skills, then let me know. There's also a form. You can leave your comments on the show notes page. So I'd be interested to know what you do when it comes to improving your listening skills, and also what you've decided to do, because every part of this Improve Your English in 2018 series has a challenge at the end, and so the challenge for this is decide what you're going to listen to that will help you to improve your English skills. Make a plan, set aside some time to do that, and if you want to tell me what you've decided to listen to, then that's great, you can do that as well. So have a great week and have fun learning English. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. If you have any questions or comments, my email address is kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or you can go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, where you'll find information about the individual episodes.